Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive into Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty.
Awesome.
We're going to be focusing on those excerpts you shared, particularly the parts about letting go of negativity and fear, and really like leaning into purpose and intention.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's really like a roadmap to applying ancient wisdom to our modern, sometimes chaotic lives, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're looking to bring more intention and peace into your life, and Jay Shetty, a former monk, offers some really interesting perspectives based on his own experiences.
Right.
So let's just dive in and see what we can uncover together.
Sounds good.
Shetty kicks things off with the striking image of a dusty mirror.
Oh, yeah. He describes being led to this dusty storeroom in the ashram and being shown a mirror.
Oh, wow.
But he can't even see his reflection. What's fascinating here is that the mirror represents our true selves. And all that dust, that's the external influences and internal obstacles we accumulate over time.
Okay, so it's like all the noise from society,
Oh,
the expectations we grew up with,
absolutely.
even the opinions of our friends. It's all clouding our judgment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes it so hard to see who we really are and what we truly value. So Shetty suggests something that might seem simple, but it's really powerful. Track how you spend your time for a week.
Oh, interesting.
You might be surprised at what it reveals.
I can see that.
Yeah.
You might say you value family, but then realize you're spending more time scrolling through social media than actually connecting with loved ones.
Right.
It's a bit of a wake-up call.
It is. It's about aligning your actions with your values. And sometimes that requires taking a hard look at where your time and energy are going.
Yeah.
Shetty also talks about how our values are often shaped by our childhood experiences, especially those early expectations from parents and caregivers.
So you might think you hold certain values, but maybe they're just inherited values
Yeah.
that don't actually resonate with who you are now.
That's the question Shetty wants us to ask. Are these values truly mine, or am I living someone else's script?
Whoa.
He suggests this really cool exercise of writing down your core values and then tracing them back to their origin
Okay.
to see if they still ring true.
That's a great way to gain self-awareness and start living more authentically.
It is.
And speaking of things that can cloud our judgment,
Yeah.
Shetty doesn't hold back when it comes to negativity.
He compares negativity to a contagious disease,
Oh, wow.
spreading easily, especially in groups. Think about it. Haven't you noticed how one negative person can bring down the energy of an entire room?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, misery loves company.
Yeah.
It's easy to get sucked into that vortex.
And there's actual science behind this.
Is there?
Yeah. Our brains are wired for connection, so sometimes we unconsciously conform to the negative energy around us, even if we know it's not good for us.
So how do we break free from this negativity trap?
Well, Shetty has this interesting suggestion. Try tracking your complaints, comparisons, and criticisms for a week. Oh. It's like holding up a mirror to your own negativity,
Yeah.
seeing how often it creeps into your thoughts and conversations.
It's about becoming aware of those patterns so you can start to shift them.
Right.
He also gives this great example of how monks are often perceived as quiet. Not because they're trying to be overly positive, but because they choose their words with intention and purpose.
Right. It's about mindful communication.
Yeah.
It's not about suppressing negative thoughts altogether, but rather about choosing to express yourself in a way that aligns with your values and contributes to a more positive atmosphere.
He even suggests that transforming complaints into productive communication can actually strengthen relationships.
Oh, yeah. Instead of just venting to a friend about your partner always being late, try talking directly to your partner,
Okay.
expressing your feelings and suggesting solutions together.
Right.
It's about turning that negative energy into a catalyst for positive change.
I love that. Now, from negativity, Shetty takes us on a bit of a roller coaster ride into the realm of fear.
Oh, yeah.
He starts this section with a dramatic scene from the Bhagavad Gita, the story of the warrior Arjuna facing immense fear before a battle.
Oh, right. Powerful image.
It's a powerful metaphor for the fears we all face in life, whether it's speaking up in a meeting, pursuing a dream, or facing a difficult conversation.
It is. And he ties this to a point that really resonates with our modern lives. How we often try to avoid stress and challenges, building these comfortable little bubbles for ourselves.
Right. We don't want to get
It's
uncomfortable.
like the example he gives of trees in Biosphere 2. They grew tall but were weak because they lacked the resistance of wind. They needed that external pressure to develop strength and resilience.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. We need those challenges, even the uncomfortable ones, to help us grow and reach our full potential.
Right?
He even brings up Alex Honnold, the free solo climber, who scaled El Capitan without any ropes.
Oh, yeah. Talk about facing fear head on.
That's facing fear head on. Now, I know this is a big jump, but Do you think most people are capable of Honnold-level bravery?
Hmm. I think there's a misconception that facing your fears means becoming some kind of fearless daredevil. It's not about eliminating fear altogether,
Right.
but rather about understanding it.
So it's more about recognizing the patterns of your fear and using those patterns to identify opportunities for growth.
Exactly. Shetty uses the example of a client, a lawyer, who was unhappy in her career but terrified to leave.
Okay.
By digging deeper, she realized her fear stemmed from a fear of failure and being judged by others. Once she understood the root of her fear, she could start to address it and move forward.
Okay. That's really insightful.
Mm.
It's not about ignoring or suppressing fear, but about facing it head on and asking, what is this fear trying to teach me?
Absolutely. And that brings us to one of Shetty's key points,
Ooh.
the importance of intention.
Okay.
He argues that a lot of our ambition is driven by a desire for happiness, but that happiness and success aren't always the same thing.
I can see that happening a lot.
He outlines 4 main motivations that drive our actions: fear, desire, duty, and love.
Okay.
And while all of these can lead to positive outcomes, it's crucial to be aware of what's truly driving us.
So you could achieve a certain level of success, but if it's driven by fear,
Yeah.
are you really fulfilled? That's a big question.
It is, and it ties back to the idea of aligning your actions with your values. Shetty highlights this fascinating research, finding that money doesn't actually buy happiness beyond a certain point.
It doesn't.
There's a point of diminishing returns.
Interesting. So are you saying like someone who makes, I don't know, $50,000 a year
Yeah.
could potentially be just as happy as someone who makes $5 million a year?
Potentially, yeah. He even compares the potential happiness of someone in the middle class to that of Jeff Bezos. And the point is, external markers of success don't automatically equal happiness.
I see. What you're saying is that it's not about chasing those external things.
It's about finding fulfillment in what you do, not just chasing external validation. So Shetty challenges us to ask ourselves, am I chasing success or am I chasing fulfillment?
That's a good question.
It's a question that can really change your perspective.
This whole idea of fulfillment ties beautifully into Shetty's emphasis on finding your purpose, your dharma.
He makes it clear that your dharma isn't something you find out there in the world. It's something you uncover within yourself.
Within.
It's about identifying your strengths, your passions, and how you can use them to contribute to the world in a way that feels meaningful to you.
So it's not about fitting into a mold or following someone else's path,
No.
but about blazing your own trail.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be some grand life-altering mission. It could be expressed through your work, your relationships, your hobbies, or your community involvement.
Yeah.
To illustrate this, Shetty shares his own journey, how he unexpectedly found his passion for sharing monk teachings,
Oh.
first in college and then in his career in finance.
So your dharma can show up in unexpected places. It's not always a straight line.
And it can evolve as you do. Shetty also introduces this concept called the quadrant of potential, which is a framework for reflecting on your skills and passions in relation to your work.
Okay.
He then outlines 4 varnas, or types of individuals based on their skills and motivations: creators, makers, guides, and leaders. It's a framework for helping you understand your own tendencies and strengths and how you can leverage them to find fulfillment and purpose in your work. You might identify with one strongly, or you might find elements of yourself in all 4.
This is where Shetty starts to bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and practical application. He even dives into the importance of routines,
Yeah.
which might seem a bit counterintuitive when you think of the freedom associated with being a monk.
He describes his experience in the ashram, where the day began with a structured routine of waking up early and spending hours in meditation.
Oh, wow.
Of course, this might seem pretty far removed from most people's lives, but the underlying principle is what's important.
It's about setting a positive and intentional tone for the day, even if it's just dedicating a few minutes each morning to something that nourishes your mind and spirit.
Absolutely.
He even provides this handy acronym for a mindful morning routine, TIME.
Oh, yeah. Which stands for thankfulness, insight, meditation, and exercise. You can customize it, but it's a great starting point. Even just incorporating 1 or 2 of these elements can make a difference.
And he also stresses the importance of an evening routine to help you wind down and prepare for a restful night's sleep.
Yeah.
Disconnecting from technology at least an hour before bed can make a huge difference.
It's about creating a sense of calm and tranquility before you drift off, allowing your mind and body to fully recharge for the day ahead.
This all sounds great in theory, but I think a lot of people struggle with the ego when it comes to self-improvement, always comparing themselves to others, or striving for some unattainable level of perfection.
Well, Shetty addresses this directly, and he does it in such an engaging way. He kicks off this section with a story about 4 monks who break their vow of silence.
Uh-oh.
And each monk ends up criticizing the others for speaking while completely missing their own transgression.
Oh no, that's kind of funny.
It's funny, but it's also such a sharp reminder of how the ego can blind us to our own faults. And it leads into Shetty's discussion of the difference between the true ego and the false ego. The true ego is about self-awareness,
Okay.
knowing yourself, your strengths, and your weaknesses. The false ego, on the other hand, is that inflated sense of self-importance, that fragile mask that crumbles under scrutiny.
It's that voice that says, I'm always right, I'm better than others, or I have to be perfect.
And that kind of thinking prevents us from learning and growing.
So how do we quiet that voice?
Shetty challenges us to ask ourselves, am I open to being wrong? It's a humbling question, but so important for personal growth.
Humility is really the antidote to the false ego, isn't it?
Absolutely. He gives the example of a Roman general who, after a great victory, has a slave whisper in his ear, "Remember, you are mortal." It's a reminder that true greatness lies in humility, not in ego-driven arrogance.
Wow.
He also shares the example of Robert Downey Jr.'s down-to-earth home life. Even a superstar like Iron Man is just a regular person at home dealing with everyday chores and responsibilities. It's a good reminder that we're all human regardless of our achievements.
That's a great point. Now, on a lighter note,
Okay.
Shetty talks about the power of visualization, a technique monks use during meditation to heal past hurts and prepare for future challenges.
Yeah.
He even guides readers through a short visualization exercise, encouraging them to imagine themselves in a peaceful and calming mental image that they can return to whenever they need to find clarity and focus.
That's so powerful for training your mind to find peace and stillness amidst the chaos of daily life.
And it ties into this really interesting concept of manifestation, the idea that you can create what you can imagine.
By visualizing your goals and aspirations, you're essentially planting the seeds for them to grow into reality.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by the power of visualization.
It's a reminder that our minds are incredibly powerful tools and that we can use them to shape our reality.
This feels like a good place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground already, from letting go of external influences to understanding our fears to the importance of intention and purpose.
Yeah, we have.
Welcome back. Last time we really focused on understanding ourselves,
Yeah.
peeling back those layers of external influence and facing our fears head on.
Right.
But Shetty doesn't stop there. He takes us even further on this journey toward a more fulfilling life.
That's where the concept of service comes in.
Okay.
This idea of seva, or selfless service, as a pathway to deeper purpose.
He shares this beautiful quote, "Plant trees under whose shade you do not plan to sit."
Oh, yeah.
It's about giving without expecting anything in return, which sounds incredibly challenging in our often self-centered world.
It is a challenge, and Shetty acknowledges that, but he also argues that it's one of the most rewarding things we can do. He describes his own experience living as a wandering monk in India, where he relied on the generosity of others while dedicating himself to serving those in greater need.
It's a far cry from the comfort and independence we often strive for in modern life. I'm curious, what did this experience teach him about the nature of service?
Well, Shetty found that true service isn't about receiving recognition or accolades. It's about connecting with something larger than yourself and contributing to the well-being of others.
So it's not about what you get out of it,
No.
but the act of giving itself.
Exactly. He and his fellow monks would offer assistance to villagers,
Okay.
carrying heavy loads or helping peddlers with their carts. And through these acts of service, they created a sense of community and connection.
I love that. It brings to mind those everyday acts of kindness we often overlook.
Oh, yeah.
Holding a door open for someone, helping a neighbor with their groceries.
Yeah.
Even just offering a listening ear to a friend who's going through a tough time.
Those small gestures can have a ripple effect, brightening someone's day and creating a sense of interconnectedness.
So you don't have to make some grand, sweeping life change to embrace the principle of Seva.
Right. It's about cultivating a service mindset, approaching everything you do with the intention of contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Shetty also emphasizes the importance of aligning your service with your dharma,
Yes.
that unique purpose we talked about earlier.
He gives the example of his own journey, from serving meals in the ashram to using his platform to support global initiatives against child labor. It shows how service can evolve as your life changes, finding ways to use your strengths and passions to make a difference.
So your dharma can be a guiding force in how you choose to serve others.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your skills, your passions, and the needs of the world intersect.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be something you figure out all at once. It can
Okay.
be a process of exploration and experimentation.
This whole idea of service is really inspiring,
Yeah.
but it can also feel a bit daunting. Where do you even begin?
Well, Shetty offers some really practical advice.
Okay.
He suggests starting by identifying the areas you're most passionate about,
Okay.
and then looking for opportunities to serve within those areas.
So if you're passionate about education, you could volunteer at a local school or mentor a student.
Exactly.
If you're passionate about the environment, you might join a cleanup effort or donate to an environmental organization.
It's about finding ways to align your service with your interests so it feels more natural and fulfilling rather than a chore or obligation.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's more sustainable that way. You're more likely to stick with it if it's something you genuinely enjoy.
Shetty also stresses that even seemingly small acts of service can have a ripple effect,
Oh.
creating positive change in your community and beyond.
He encourages us to adopt a just serve mentality, constantly looking for opportunities to make a difference, no matter how small.
It's a powerful reminder that we all have the capacity to contribute to a better world through our actions.
Now, with all this talk about letting go, facing fears, finding purpose, and serving others, it's easy to get caught up in the doing and forget about the being.
That's where the importance of mindfulness comes in.
Okay.
Being present in the moment, cultivating inner peace, and simply appreciating what we have.
Shetty reminds us that true happiness doesn't come from external achievements or possessions, but from within.
He talks about the need to shift our focus from having to being. It's about aligning our actions with our values, finding joy in the present moment, and recognizing that we already possess everything we need to be happy.
It's a radical concept in our consumer-driven society where we're constantly bombarded with messages about what we lack and what we need to buy to be happy.
He challenges us to resist the allure of materialism and instead focus on cultivating a sense of inner peace and contentment.
And he offers practical ways to do this through practices like gratitude, meditation, and spending time in nature.
It's about slowing down, appreciating the simple things, and nurturing our connection to ourselves and the world around us.
But what about those times when we inevitably face challenges or setbacks?
Yeah.
How do we maintain that sense of inner peace when life throws us curveballs?
That's where Shetty's teachings on resilience and reframing come in.
Okay.
He encourages us to view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than setbacks or failures.
He talks about how we often dwell on the negative aspects of a situation instead of asking ourselves, what can I learn from this? Or how can I use this experience to become stronger?
It's a powerful shift in perspective that allows us to approach challenges with a sense of curiosity and openness rather than fear and resistance.
It reminds me of that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
It's about finding the lessons and the growth opportunities hidden within our struggles.
Exactly. And Shetty emphasizes that developing resilience is a lifelong journey. It's not about becoming immune to challenges, but rather about learning to navigate them with grace and wisdom.
So how do we know if this whole think like a monk approach is actually working?
Yeah.
It's one thing to read about these concepts,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to actually embody them in our daily lives.
Shetty shares a great story about a novice monk who complains to his teacher about his struggles with meditation.
Oh.
He's frustrated because his feet fall asleep, he gets distracted by noises, and he can barely stay awake.
Oh, no.
And the teacher's response is brilliant.
What is it?
He simply asks, "Are you happier now than you were before you came to the ashram?"
It's such a simple but profound question
Right.
that cuts through all the noise.
Right.
It's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment or mastering every technique.
Right.
It's about whether these practices are actually making our lives better.
Are we finding more peace, more purpose, more fulfillment? That's the ultimate measure of success.
It's a good reminder that personal growth is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, challenges and triumphs.
Shetty encourages us to be patient with ourselves, celebrate our small wins, and remember that it's all about progress, not perfection.
So we don't have to have it all figured out right away.
Right.
It's about taking one step at a time, experimenting with different practices, and seeing what works for us.
And remembering that the most important thing is to keep moving in the right direction, towards a life that feels more aligned with our values and aspirations.
This feels like a good place to pause and reflect on everything we've discussed so far.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the power of service and the importance of finding your dharma to cultivating inner peace and reframing challenges as opportunities for growth.
And we've still got more to explore.
We do.
In the final part of this deep dive, we'll delve into Shetty's insights on relationships, gratitude, and the importance of living a life of meaning and impact.
Until then, consider what has resonated with you most deeply so far. What practices or principles are you most excited to explore further?
We'll pick up the conversation next time, continuing our journey through the transformative wisdom of Think Like a Monk.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Think Like a Monk. You know, we've been on quite a journey,
We have.
exploring Shetty's insights on letting go, facing fears, finding purpose, and the power of service.
We even uncovered our own potential
Right.
through the concept of Dharma and those four Varnas,
Yeah.
creators, makers, guides, and leaders. It's amazing how these ancient principles can still feel so relevant today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up this exploration, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about something that's been swirling in my mind throughout this whole process.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's caught your attention?
Well, Shetty keeps emphasizing that these teachings aren't just meant to be passively absorbed.
Right.
They're meant to be lived, experimented with,
Yeah,
woven into the fabric of our lives.
I see what you mean. It's not about just finishing the book and feeling inspired for a day or two. It's about taking action and seeing how these principles can actually transform our experience.
It's like that saying, knowledge without action is wasted. Shetty goes beyond just offering inspiring ideas.
Right.
He actually gives us concrete tools to put those ideas into practice.
You're right. He provides all these exercises, techniques, and strategies, even outlining a daily routine at the end that incorporates many of the principles he discusses.
It's like he's handing us a blueprint
Yeah.
for a more mindful and fulfilling life. It's not a rigid one-size-fits-all prescription,
No.
but a flexible framework we can adapt to our own unique needs and circumstances.
He encourages us to be curious, to experiment and discover what works best for us,
Yeah.
and to make adjustments along the way. That's what I love about his approach. It's so adaptable.
It reminds us that personal growth is an ongoing journey, not a destination to be reached.
Right.
There's no right or wrong way to do it.
No.
It's about finding what resonates with you and integrating it into your life authentically.
I think so many people get overwhelmed with self-improvement. They try to do too much at once, get discouraged when they don't see immediate results,
Yeah.
and end up giving up altogether.
They quit.
Shetty's approach is so much gentler. He encourages us to start small,
Right.
be patient with ourselves, and celebrate those little victories along the way.
It's about recognizing that even small changes consistently applied can create a ripple effect over time.
That reminds me of the story he tells about the novice monk complaining about his struggles with meditation.
Oh.
His teacher asks him a simple but powerful question.
Okay, what is it?
Are you happier now than you were before you came to the ashram?
Oh, wow. That question really gets to the heart of it all. It's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment.
Right.
It's about whether these practices are actually enhancing our lives.
Are we experiencing more peace, more purpose, more connection?
Exactly.
That's the ultimate measure of whether we're on the right track.
It's such a relief to hear that it takes the pressure off striving for some unattainable ideal and allows us to focus on the journey itself.
And speaking of the journey, one of the most profound concepts Shetty explores is the idea that true happiness doesn't come from external achievements or possessions,
Right.
but from within.
It's about cultivating inner peace, purpose, and connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about aligning our actions with our values and finding joy in the simple things.
It's a radical notion in a world that constantly tells us we need more. Shetty challenges us to resist that pull and instead focus on cultivating contentment with what we already have.
He encourages us to practice gratitude,
Okay.
savor those everyday moments of beauty and connection, and to recognize that true abundance comes from within, not from external validation or possessions.
That's a really powerful message, especially in our fast-paced, hyper-connected world.
As we bring this deep dive to a close, I want to leave you with one final thought from Shetty's book.
All right.
He writes, "The world can often feel chaotic and overwhelming, filled with distractions, negativity, and uncertainty. But by cultivating a monk mindset, a mindset of mindfulness, intentionality, compassion, and service,
Right.
we can find peace and purpose amidst the chaos."
It's a reminder that we have more control over our experience than we often realize. We have the power to choose how we respond to the world,
Yeah.
to create a life that reflects our values, and to make a positive impact on those around us.
Shetty's teachings offer a path, a way of being in the world that is both grounded and inspiring. He invites us to embrace the journey of personal growth with patience and curiosity, knowing that even small steps taken with intention can lead to profound transformation.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Think Like a Monk. We hope you found some valuable insights and inspiration to carry with you on your own journey.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep thinking like a monk.